Right now, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, there's a trial happening that's putting the entire justice system on notice. At the very center of it all is a man named Constant Mutamba, and his stunning rise and even more dramatic fall is forcing a whole nation to ask some really tough questions.
If you have already planned a conspiracy, do what you want. I will take responsibility for everything. So that's a direct quote from Constant Mutamba himself, shouted right in the middle of a super tense court hearing. And that one outburst, it just captures everything about this trial. This isn't just a legal case. It's an all-out political battle.
So who is this guy, Constant Mutamba? Well, until just a little while ago, he was the DRC's Minister of Justice. Yeah, a young, super ambitious reformer who's now on trial by the very system he was supposed to be leading.
And get this, just a few months ago, he was the face of the anti-corruption fight. He famously told the whole country, "I can smell the scent of corruption." And now, the guy who positioned himself as a corruption hunter, even a presidential candidate, he's the one in the hot seat. So, what's he actually accused of? Well, the charges they're incredibly serious. And they all circle back to one very, very large pile of money.
Yeah, 19 million US dollars. That's the staggering number right at the core of the prosecution's case. I mean, a figure like that, it's gonna grab headlines and raise some serious red flags, right?
Okay, and here's what makes this whole thing even more explosive. This wasn't just any old government cash. The prosecution says it was pulled from Frivo. That's a special fund set up to help victims of the Second Congo War, paid for by Uganda. So misusing that money, it's not just a financial crime. It feels like a really deep moral betrayal.
So here's how the prosecution lays it all out. They say Mutamba gives a contract to this company, Zion Construction, to build a new prison. But here's the kicker. They claim Zion Construction was basically a fictive company, a total shell. No office, no experience, nothing. Then they say almost $19 million gets transferred from the ministry, and when investigators actually go to look for this new prison, poof, they find nothing. A total phantom project, they call it, all funded with money that was supposed to go to victims of war.
But hold on, Mutamba's team, they say this has nothing to do with corruption. They're painting a completely different picture, a carefully planned political takedown, all designed to get a powerful rival out of the way. And this slide really shows you the two competing realities of this trial. On one side, the prosecution's case seems pretty simple: embezzlement, a fake company, a phantom project. But the defense? Whoa, totally different story. They're crying political plot, arguing the contract had what's called tacit approval, and this is a big one, they claim that $19 million was never even touched. It's still just sitting in a bank account. And the defense isn't just defending the facts, they are attacking the entire process. They're accusing the court of being biased, and that fear is being echoed by groups like the Congolese Association for Access to Justice, or ACAJ, who actually warned that it looks like Mutamba's fate would be sealed in advance. They're pointing out that the court is just rejecting all their motions, one after another, without really explaining why.
Okay, and this is where Mutamba's defense gets really wild. It's like a scorched earth strategy. He's not just defending himself, he's trying to drag the entire government onto the witness stand with him. He's demanding testimony from huge names, including the Prime Minister and the former anti-corruption boss, Jules Olengay. It's like he's saying, hey, if a crime happened, you all knew about it.
So this all boils down to the huge, central question of this whole mess. Is this really about justice, or is it just politics played out in a courtroom? This timeline just lays out how incredibly fast and dramatic this whole reversal of fortune was. Look at this. He gets appointed Minister of Justice in May 2024. Then, a little over a year later, after giving this really fiery speech calling out corruption, his own political allies vote to strip him of his immunity. And his trial starts just a few weeks after that. Wow.
You know, people watching this have a name for it: the judicialization of politics. It's this growing trend where the legal system isn't just used for law and order, it's used as a tool to sideline and get rid of your political enemies. And for many, this Mutamba case, it looks like a textbook example.
And that vote in Parliament to get rid of his immunity, it wasn't even a contest. 322 for, only 29 against. That is an absolutely overwhelming political rejection. It just shows you how quickly he was isolated once the state machinery decided to move in on him.
So, in the end, this trial is so much bigger than just one man. It's become this huge national drama, and really a serious test for the DRC's democratic institutions, which are still pretty young and fragile.
So everyone in the Congo, and really us watching, are left with these two completely different stories to choose from. Is this a real, necessary fight against corruption? Proof that nobody, not even a powerful minister, is above the law? Or is this a cynical power play, where the justice system is just being used as a weapon to crush a popular and ambitious political rival?
Honestly, the stakes here could not be higher. The verdict, whichever way it goes, is going to send a massive signal. It could be the first step in restoring some public trust in an independent judiciary, or it could just deepen that widespread feeling that justice in the DRC is something that's only for the powerful and the politically connected.
And that leaves us with one final kind of provocative question to chew on. When the law itself becomes a political weapon and the courts are just another battlefield for power, who's the final victim here? Is it Constant Mutamba? Or is it the very idea of justice itself?